Hoody, do you know what just happened?
I sat down?
Everyone else stopped talking.
Maybe the conversation was boring.
Most people assume that being intimidating means being loud, aggressive, dominant. But psychology tells a completely different story. Some people make others feel uneasy without trying, without noticing, and without ever raising their voice. And by the end of this video, you'll understand whether you're one of them. This isn't really about how others perceive you. It's about what that perception reveals about them and what it reveals about you. Because people who intimidate others without knowing it usually carry a quality they've never recognized as a strength.
Wait, are you talking about me?
Chapter 1. The person whose silence is louder than any word. Let's start with the type that shows up most often and understands themselves the least. This person doesn't talk much, not because they're shy, not because they have nothing to say, but because they only speak when they have something worth saying. To them, that's completely normal. To everyone else, it's unsettling.
Why? Silence is fine.
For you. But the human brain interprets silence in social situations as a signal. And that signal reads, this person is evaluating right now. Researchers call this the evaluation apprehension effect, the fear of being judged by someone who gives very little away. The less a person reveals about themselves, the more projection space they offer. And projection surfaces make people nervous.
I don't have to do anything to be intimidating?
You just have to stay quiet. That's enough. But here's the part most people miss. This silence isn't calculated. It's authenticity. People who only speak when they have something to say are an anomaly in a world full of noise. And anomalies always create unease, whether they want to or not.
I always thought I was just calm.
You are calm, and that's exactly what makes you unreadable. And being unreadable is one of the oldest forms of social power. Chapter 2. The person whose honesty feels like a verdict. And now comes a type who considers themselves particularly easy to get along with. Incorrectly. This person doesn't lie. They don't sugarcoat. They say what they think, clearly, directly, without detours. To them, that's respect. To many others, it feels like a verdict.
That's a good thing, right? Honesty is a virtue.
Honesty is a virtue, but the human brain isn't optimized for directness. It's optimized for social safety. And when someone communicates without the usual social buffers, it triggers an alarm response in the other person. Psychologists call this norm violation discomfort, the unease that arises when someone breaks unspoken social rules. Not maliciously, not aggressively, simply directly. And that's enough to be perceived as intimidating.
I'm just saying what I think.
That's exactly the problem. Most people don't say what they think. And someone who does looks to them like a person who either doesn't know the rules of the game or has consciously decided to ignore them.
But I know the rules. I just find them unnecessary.
And that's precisely what makes you intimidating. Chapter 3. The person whose competence makes others feel small. And now it gets uncomfortable because this type does literally nothing wrong. They're good at what they do, maybe very good. They don't make a show of it, they just deliver. And that's exactly the problem.
How can competence be a problem?
Because competence is a mirror. When someone near you does effortlessly what you struggle with, it forces a question you might not want to ask. Why can't I do that? Researchers call this the social comparison effect, the automatic, often unconscious comparison with others. And when that comparison doesn't go in the observer's favor, it produces an uncomfortable emotion. Shame. Not because of something you did, but because of something you feel you're not.
But I don't want to make anyone feel ashamed.
I know, but shame doesn't need intent. It just needs a mirror. And here's the real irony. People who intimidate others through their competence are often the ones who doubt themselves the hardest. They don't see their own performance as a threat. They barely see it at all.
That sounds exhausting.
For both sides. Chapter 4. The person whose full attention is overwhelming. And now comes the type nobody understands. Not even the people who feel intimidated by them. This person actually listens. Not halfway, not with one eye on their phone. Completely. They ask follow-up questions. They remember details. They are fully present.
That sounds nice.
It sounds nice, but in a world where genuine attention is rare, it doesn't feel like a gift to many people. It feels like an interrogation. The brain isn't trained to receive full attention. It's trained to avoid it, because full attention means I am being seen, and being seen means I can be evaluated.
So, listening is intimidating?
Complete listening is intimidating, because it leaves no hiding places. Chapter 5. The person nobody can read. And then there's a type who doesn't even know they have a superpower. This person shows little on the outside, not because they feel nothing, but because they've learned to regulate their emotions. Their face is calm. Their reactions are measured, and that drives other people crazy.
Crazy? Why?
Because humans are social creatures. We constantly read other people's faces to know if we're safe, if we're liked, if we've made a mistake. When someone doesn't send that signal, the brain goes into overdrive. Psychologists call this ambiguity aversion, the deep human dislike of uncertainty. What we can't read, we perceive as a potential threat, not because the person is threatening, but because unpredictability activates our nervous system.
I'm not unpredictable. I'm just calm.
To you, to others, you're a puzzle, and puzzles make people nervous or fascinated, sometimes both at the same time. Chapter 6. What it really means when you intimidate others without trying. And now, after seeing all 5 types, comes the real question. What does it actually mean when you intimidate others without trying?
That I'm a problem?
No, it means you carry qualities that have become rare in our society. Silence in a loud world, directness in a world full of evasion, competence without self-promotion, presence without performance. Research shows that people who unconsciously intimidate others demonstrate above-average self-regulation capacity, the ability to control impulses, manage emotions, and read social situations without being swept away by them.
That sounds good.
It is good, but it comes at a price, because someone who regulates themselves well often appears distant to others, unapproachable, hard to grasp, and that creates distance, even where you don't want it.
That explains a lot.
The question isn't, how do I stop intimidating people? The question is, which of these qualities do you want to use consciously, and where do you want to build the bridge?
I think I'll start with the listening.
You're already listening. That's the problem. Coming across as intimidating without meaning to isn't a flaw. It's a signal that you carry qualities that unsettle others because they wish they had them too.
I'm calling it from now on passive dominance radiation.
Call it whatever you want, as long as you know how to build the bridge. Which type are you? The silent presence, the unfiltered one, the quiet expert, the intense listener, or the unreadable one? Write it in the comments.